Welcome to Anna Explains, and today let's talk about very controversial subject such as sexual education. Let's talk about it. Let's put it out there. It's such a controversial subject. What do we know about sexual education? Do we know what our children being taught at school when they're talking about sexual education? There was loads of people disagreeing with sexual education at school. There's lots of people who agree with sexual education at school. All I can do in this video is share my personal opinion. And if you agree, write down your comments. If you disagree, please write down your comments, likes and subscribe to my channel. And let's talk about that super important and controversial subject. Now, I belong to those people who totally disagree about sexual education at school. And I'm going to ask you as a parent a few questions and raise up a few questions in this video. And if you're able to answer it, hopefully they can help you to make your own decision. But I can only share what I think, and I lay down some proof to you. Now, if we go back to the past, our parents taught us about sexual education. And in fact, if you think about your past when you were a teenager, you remember that conversation with your mom when she was trying to talk to you about cycle, when you talked to your dad about condoms and whatever. You, even talking to your own parents, felt super uncomfortable about that subject. So how did it happen that we gave that right to the teachers? So if kids are really uncomfortable to talk about that to the parents, why do you think they feel super comfortable talking about to their teachers? Exactly, right? So I raised up a few questions. So who gave the school the right to become a parent? If sexual education used to be and worked quite well, look, I've got 3 children. I'm sure you've got some children, so we know about sexual education, all right? So how did it happen and who gave the school the right to sexually educate our children? Did you agree to that? Did your husband agree to that? Did you sign any form or petition or any letters? I did not. I'm sure you did not. So who exactly? Let's find out. You find out before you say you agree or don't agree. Who exactly gave the right to you? And did you exactly give the right to sexually educate your child? I did not. And I'm sure you didn't as well. Now, the question number 2. Where are those boundaries of what level of sexual education we give to our children? Who sets up those boundaries? Because that subject, it's not math, right? So the school decides, right, year 1, we teach children timetables, division and fractions, as an example, in a simple form. Who decides, what sort of sexual committee decides what do we teach the children in year 1 in sexual education, in year 2, and who sets up those boundaries? Because it's such a wide subject, we can go quite deep in that subject. And who decides where are those boundaries? That's another question. If you've got the answer, write it down, because I don't know the answer. Now, who decides the age when a child, again, that's water, remember? Who decides the age when to start sexually educating your child? Because we remember, girls and boys develop differently. They develop different emotional connections and so on and so forth. They are very different creatures. Girls normally develop much quicker than boys a little bit later in their development. So who decides the age when to start to talk about pee-pees? Who makes that decision? What kind of psychologist? What kind of sexologist? I don't know the names, because when we talk about sexologists, we actually talk about grown-up people. So how did actually sex got connected with children? Because if you remember, children to a certain age not even interested in sex, and especially sex connected to children being taught at school. Who makes that decision? Because as a parent, you know when to talk to your child. You know your child better than anyone else in the world. So you kind of know, okay, the time has come. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Let's read a certain book. You decide the books that your child's reading about the sexual education. You decide the video. It's up to you. But school levels everything off. And let's say at 5, why is it 5? Why is it 6? Where is it 4 years old? Because I live in the UK and our children go to school at 4 years old. So is it 4 years old? Is it 7 years old? Is it 8 years old? Why is it all leveled if the children are so different? Who made that decision? Answer that question. Another question. Why do the parents haven't got the right to withdraw a child from a certain age from school? So when my child was 11, I, as a parent that's got all the rights and all the responsibility of my child, did not have the right to withdraw my child from school. That's a bit ridiculous. So before, I had the right. Now, I don't have the right. Who made that decision? Who made that decision and why that decision is right? Does it feel right to you not to have the right as a parent? So I've got responsibility to feed my child proper food. I've got the responsibility to make sure that my child is not being bullied at school and so on and so forth. But as a parent, I don't have this responsibility about such a vital subject. And I don't, because if my child doesn't decide, and I decide not to send my child to school for sexual education classes, I as a parent will be penalized. And I have to pay penalty for not taking my child for sexual education. Yet I didn't sign up for that. That's an interesting question. Answer that. Now, how do we know what kind of teachers are teaching our children sexual education? Is those teachers emotionally quite right? Are they not some sort of pedophiles? Do you know? Are you 100% guaranteed? Do they get some sort of psychological checks? I don't know. Answer that question. Now, who decides what videos are appropriate for your children to watch? So they show certain videos how to put a condom on a cucumber. Do you want your daughter to do that? Do you want your daughter to practice that kind of thing? Who decides what videos are appropriate? And actually, do you know what type of videos do they show to your children as a parent? Because I tried to find out and the school refused to give me that information. So answer those questions before you say whether you agree with the sexual education or you disagree. Write those down and hopefully those questions will help you to make the right decision for your child, because remember, you are responsible for your child. Ask yourself another super important question. Do you think the teacher loves your child more than you do? Your interests are at best for your child. So you take all responsibility for any type of education of your child. The school teachers just do what they're told, but you are the one who has to take and make the right decision for your child. I hope that information was helpful for you. If it was, like, subscribe, and share my videos so other thinking parents can decide for themselves whether that's the right decision or not. And please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Bye.